I believe. Dr. Wenstrup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate all your testimonies and you sharing a lot of your expertise with us in the time that we have today. You know, this committee itself brings a lot of experience, as really was mentioned in General Petraeus' opening statement. You know, we have people on this committee that have the experience of actually developing intelligence, and many on this committee that have been on the receiving end, interpreting intelligence and acting upon intelligence. So this is a pretty good mix that we have going into today. And, you know, we're off to a good start, I feel, on this committee we're stressing the importance of the bipartisan work that we can do here and how we must do it that way if we're going to be successful. One of the concerns that I have is not only us coming together as a committee, but our relationship with the intelligence community. And this is a two-way street where trust has to be developed. And sometimes it's lacking. You know, we have a responsibility here to represent not only the American people, but our colleagues in Congress that don't have access to where we are. And we have to sell, for example, the IAA to our other members of Congress when they'll never see it. And so there has to be a lot of trust. And, you know, our colleagues do see things like the FISA report from the IG on FISA, and things start to break down. And we have problems there. You know, and then what I've been able to observe in the military and then being here and seeing our agencies a lot of times, you know, in the military, we have the UCMJ where unethical is unlawful. See, in the agencies, it seems that unethical is a little slap on the hand. And, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. So then we couple that with situations where we've been dealing with the IC in this committee, and they tell us they're not going to answer our questions. They're not going to tell us this or that. Well, who has oversight? So how do we go about changing this? Because we might see something now from the IC, and they say they have moderate confidence, and we might say, well, then we have low confidence. Because of this lack of transparency, this lack of cooperation. So I don't know if we need to set rules of engagement, rules of cooperation, but I'd like to direct my question on that and how do we improve this to Dr. Wilson, because you've sat here and you've sat there, and I think that would be helpful if we could hear from you on that.
Thank you, Congressman. There is a responsibility in statute for the administration to keep this committee and your counterpart in the Senate fully and currently informed. Fully and currently informed. Now, at the same time, as members, you have to engender, I mean, there is a gap. You have to engender trust in your seriousness as a committee and also as individual members. It was a very rare time when someone said to the committee or to even individual members, well, we're not going to tell you that. Because it usually got escalated to the chair and the ranking member, and it became a very serious discussion very quickly. And this committee has responsibilities that are different from every other committee in the Congress. You are entrusted with oversight of classified matters. And the American people have to trust you to do your job. That tension between the different branches of government played out in spades in the changes that led up to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act amendments. And it was a pretty tense time. But we got through it, and we're better as a country for it because this committee did its work. So I would encourage you to be serious in your work, but insist on your responsibilities under the Constitution as a separate branch of government.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, General Petraeus.
You know, it goes both ways. We worked very, very hard to meet our responsibilities that we felt. For example, I met every single month with the big four, so now of the House and the Senate, and then also obviously a lot with the big four of the HPSI and the SISI. But beyond that, again, in almost informal sessions, we would do coffees with the SISI and with the HPSI, closed sessions, and just have back and forth. And it really was will everyone make themselves available? And we work very, very hard, again, to meet the requirement that I think that we'd impose for every month to meet individually, by the way, with each of the big four, and then to meet with the chairman and the ranking members. We also brought the intelligence big four out to the agency on a pretty regular basis. And we tried to, in each case, introduce them to some new element of the agency that they might not have seen before. For example, during my particular time, it was really important that they see the Counterterrorism Center. They'd not seen it, of all things. Introduce them to the Open Source Center, where there was one senior person that actually didn't realize we had an Open Source Center. And so we would have a couple of structured engagements like that out there at Langley or some other location, and then sit down and have dinner together. And it was all very efficient. And everybody be out of there by 8 p.m. But if you all can make that possible, I think that is very, very helpful. It's all about, obviously, open communication. And again, we felt a huge responsibility to answer every question that was asked of us.
That's great advice from both of you. I appreciate it. We need to form those relationships. And I think it was another general who once said, we can only move with the speed of trust.